Oh my God, we're here.
We are here.
What a journey.
Oh my God, what a beautiful moment. Let's sit in gratitude for a minute.
I'm really grateful for our relationship, but I'm also literally grateful for this moment. You have been changing the way that people look at fashion in Canada, but also how the fashion community looks at themselves. But before we
Thank
go
you for
there,
that.
oh, you're welcome. Before we go there, let's just dial it back a little bit. Can you please introduce yourself actually?
Oh yes, absolutely. Deidre Marinelli, publisher of Fashion Magazine.
Deidre, before you were the publisher of Fashion Magazine, what did that look like? Like the journey of you getting there, we both kind of worked in that same media building. Talk about that moment when you accepted that position.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. My whole career, I've never really had fear. I've just been super fearless, even since a very young age. And just anything that I felt, I'm based on energy too and vibration. So anything that I felt moved me or I gravitated to, I just went for. I just went for it. And I really used the power of communication to really open up doors and relationships. I nurtured relationships right up until basically I was offered this position. And I really felt that because I've been in so many lanes of the business and so many lanes of fashion, I really stepped into the role super confident and excited for the role, as opposed to being fearful of all the things that encompasses. I was ready. I just felt like this was my moment. I felt that, because of being in the different lanes, that I could really bring, a variety of things to the table. So it was, obviously a very exciting moment, but also a very big responsibility accepting that title.
And a responsibility that you wear well. So let's talk about how you and I met.
Yes.
I received a DM, probably the best DM I've received in a minute. I've had many people slide into my DMs, but you slid into my DMs, and then I quickly got my phone number and invited me to a party. I guess I was on your radar. Let's talk about that and why you pursued that situation.
Yeah, like I said just a few minutes ago, that I am big on energy vibration. So when I meet people, I watch people. I watch a lot more than people actually know. Whether it be events, whether it be, just on filming, anywhere that people show up, I am kind of watching. And I had watched you, just kind of how you move. Just you're just so authentic, and your energy that you bring to anything you do, I absolutely loved it. So I thought,
definitely have a little bit of energy.
Oh, you do. I love that. I love that. I love that you're not afraid to just be super passionate. Even when you speak and when you show up, you're in a room and people know you're there.
I appreciate that. I really do. I think the one thing that when you invited me to that party, I'd never been invited to a party by Toronto Life before. And there was Fashion Week was going on, and I was so excited to be on that list, to get into that party. And I remember me, you, and George took a picture. And I think Cynthia Forca sold the Trend Office. And I was just when I got those photos and they were I was so excited. And that was almost 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy. Wow.
And then we enter 2024, and you were the publisher of Fashion Magazine. And there's this party at Ultra. And the room is filled with people that you and George had handpicked. Mm-hmm. And I remember getting ready for that party. And when I walked in, I knew at that time that it was a very special moment for the fashion community, for Toronto, and the shift was happening and that energy. What was that moment like for you to be in that room with all those people, with George, and to be experiencing what you guys are starting to create? Because the partnership there it's so beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah. So we had decided that, and it was just kind of an organic decision, that it's not like we sat down one day and said, we're going to build this community. It was just a very organic decision based on the momentum and where we were going with the brand. And that was kind of the start of building this beautiful fashion community. It kind of started at this event at Ultra. And it was Clarence, and we literally handpicked every single person in that room for a reason. And when we came in, George and I put a lot of effort into the details of any way we show up, and as well as the brand shows up on an experiential way. We put like every detail is curated. So when we showed up and we had seen this beautiful community starting to come together, it just fueled us. It was such a beautiful moment, and we wanted to keep that momentum going. And we adore and love our community so much. And as you know, we've been building this since that moment.
And for me, I remember getting ready for that event. And so when you step outside now, I know when I step outside, there were so many events that year. And, you know, there was outfits and changes. And I was just like, oh, my God, like, what's going on? Like, you know, like stepping in. And I think it really made me understand the difference between fashion and style. And that's really important to understand for yourself. And as a curvy woman, I really had to look into how I wanted to present myself every time I left the house. And not just for these events, but like just for my life. And it really started to change something within me. And then there was this last final dinner that at the end of that year, and I call it the Fashion Hunger Games. Yeah. And there was maybe 30 of us left upstairs. And I remember walking in to that restaurant, Ocholino, and walking upstairs, and I felt like it was so special to be there. And you guys had this amazing year at Fashion Canada, and you could tell that everyone in that room was proud to be there, and you elevate that energy. But, and I thank you for that, for including me in that. And I know as a plus size woman, especially in the curvy community, the DMs that I get about when they see me on like the best dress list for the Canadian Arts and Fashion Awards in Montreal, which we're in Montreal, like I get DMs from women saying, thank you for being you and making it easy. And, you know, like but that's because you guys have given this amazing opportunity. So I want to talk about the power of media. Because the power of media is a responsibility, but please lead with that and engage with me about what you think about the power of media.
Yeah, so I feel like in this world with the influencers, like I would say the last couple years, I feel like it's really changed the dynamics of media for the better. First, when influencers were hatched, there was this, you know, even with PR, they were like, media influencers, how do we handle this? You know, where do they belong? Should we put them together? Should we separate them? How do we navigate this? And I just feel like fashion, we really embraced influencers. As you recall, for one of the Ones cover, we actually highlighted the kind of up and coming and most successful, powerful influencers in Canada. And for us to put them on our cover and celebrate them at the Ones, which is like the most coveted event during TIFF, was, I feel like, a pivotal moment. And I feel like that really, you know, helped the narrative and really helped many brands kind of lead that way of how do we navigate this. So, you know, the power of, you know, having influencers and media together side by side even is that much more stronger. But the power of media will never go away. The power of media, there's far and few between of us left within Canada. And I feel like we have a very big job to do. We have to keep that momentum going. We have to constantly push the needle in media. We have to do the right thing. We have to show up. We have to, you know, be involved. We have to kind of help lead the industry on where things are going. We have to constantly pivot because it's, you know, obviously a very tough landscape right now. But I feel like another reason with this whole fashion fam and this community, it's the power of the momentum and really making sure that fashion is pushing the boundaries. That's what it's all about. It's all about pushing the boundaries, being obviously inclusive, you know, really absorbing what is happening and what our job is as media, and, you know, to uplift and really provide platforms within our own country as well as international, because it all matters.
I definitely
That's a very long answer.
No, I appreciate that. We love a good detailed answer. I think that especially, you know, let's go back to the fashion fam, you know. I feel very blessed to be a part of the fashion fam, and I feel it's a responsibility and an honor. And I just, you know, sometimes people think that our lives are champagne and red carpets, and yes, that is a perk that we have, but I don't think people understand the work that goes behind that. Can you speak to the fashion fam and what that actually means? Like the people that are selected and how that represents the responsibility that, I carry that responsibility, like that's a very special thing to have. And because I think that some people sometimes think that it's just pictures and, this person at the party, but it's way more deeper than that.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot that people don't see in the curating, in the building, in the brainstorms, in navigating the decisions, the pushback, the stress, all of it. There's so much that people don't see. But we've basically chosen these people, these amazing people in our community, to be part of the family. And there is a responsibility there on both sides, because we definitely give them the platforms they need as well to put them where they need to be and really tell their stories. And, there's the power of media. If you want media around, you've got to support media as well. So there's a little bit of a relationship there. So all of our fashion fam will basically, they'll show up and do whatever it takes for the brand. And there's a true relationship there. There's a true love for, we love our fashion fam and they love the brand. So there's kind of this unspoken, not necessarily rule, but expectation that the support is mutual both ways. And I know that we can call on any one of them and they would be there in a nanosecond, and they know that if they called on us, we'd be there in a nanosecond. So, and the fashion fam is constantly evolving and constantly growing and building. We just recently did an event in Montreal, and we're curating some beautiful fashion fam, nationally, which is amazing. So there's different purposes, different, reasons why people are within the fashion fam, but it's such a beautiful, just a beautiful, powerful community.
I call it Switzerland's. I feel like when you walk into a Fashion Canada event, everyone is seeing each other a way that they would normally not see each other, because we know if we're in that room and we're around, that there's something that we all have in common that most people don't see, because you see that within us. So, being a successful woman is no easy feat. I think there's lots of, stories that are not told, and you have a story that hasn't been told publicly. And
absolutely,
so let's dive into that. Let's talk about 2025. Mm-hmm. About you and I had a phone call. What did you tell me on that phone call, Deidre?
So 2025 was a very interesting year for me. It started, we all celebrate the new year coming in, having all these affirmations, these gratitude moments, what we want to accomplish, what we want to see in the year to come. And I was hit, fresh into the new year with some pretty serious news that pretty much kicked me on my ass. And that was that I had breast cancer. So it was January 10th of 2025. I had the diagnosis. And, a lot of people don't know that. It's not a matter that I'm not sharing. I think it's really important to be, to have the conversation and to talk about what you go through. That changed my life, and it has changed me as I sit here today. It's changed my DNA. It's changed everything, how I think, physically, many things. So
I think that, and thank you for sharing that story with us. That was a hard phone call for me, because there's so many things about you that inspired me. And then when I got off the phone, it just made me switch something in my mind as well. But I have to say, watching you power through that year, I know that you had a surgery. I know that, you were showing up to events the day after you were at the doctor, and I'm just watching you. And the whole point of Behind the Cut are these untold stories that we go through within the industry. We get up every single day to do our job, and it's more than just a job, it's our life. So after you found out you had cancer, what became important immediately?
Yeah, so it's actually quite surreal, and I'm not even sure if that's the right word to use, but when you're sitting in, the room and they give you the diagnosis, that's everybody's worst diagnosis. The C word is something you never want to hear. It's something that I think we all, silently fear as we move through life, because we all know many people in our lives that are super close to us that have gone through this. So it's something that's always, I feel in the back of your mind, thinking, oh my goodness, I hope I never have cancer? What if I have it? This, that, whatever. So to be sitting there and getting that diagnosis, it floods you with so many emotions. You know, instantly you're raw. Instantly you're vulnerable. Instantly you're sitting there thinking, okay, this is completely out of my control right now. I have to obviously put my faith in the medical system. And, you know, this isn't something that I can create a goal and get through. Like, I've always powered through things, like, mentally. And it's like, okay, this is real. This is happening. But I basically took 24 hours from my diagnosis. I live in the beach, so I went down to the water. That's kind of like my safe place. And
The water's my safe place too.
I love it. It's like that zen.
Being
It's
from
like-
Newfoundland, it's like, and when I sit by the water, I drink my coffee, and it gives me my zen. So I totally relate to that.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
So when I just sat there and I thought, okay, how am I going to show up through this, and how am I going to deal with this? I need to decide. And for me, it's different for everybody. I didn't want things to drastically change in my life, because I feel like if it did, that would instantly destroy me. So I decided that I'm going to show up with grace. I'm going to show up with humility. I'm going to show up with, you know, confidence. I'm going to do the research I need to do. I'm going to make sure I can learn everything I can, both Western, Eastern medicine, and tackle this and get my head straight and still get up in the morning, get my butt to the gym, and have my routine. And of course, there may be days that, you know, physically I may not have been strong enough to do certain things after surgery, after certain things. And I gave myself grace, and I gave myself that moment to get through it. But for me, mentally, I needed to keep this formula for me that works. And yeah, I powered through it. And it's, you know, it's interesting because, you know, you kind of get through life. You've got a lot of supportive people. But as soon as you lay your head at night on your pillow, that's when, like, it all crashes down. Because it's like, you know, you have that, like, silent moment, and your mind is, like, just flutters with whether it's fear, whether it's, you know, whatever it is that you're going through. So anyway, it definitely changed the way, my perspective on many things, many things. And I just really, you know, I obviously got through it. Thankfully, I'm still dealing with certain parts of it.
Of course,
but,
of course.
you know, it definitely was a journey. And yeah, I'm very, very thankful for everybody that was a part in my journey and still is.
I think that part of your journey really affected my journey when you shared your story. I went through my own things, and, like, after I had my miscarriage, I did not tackle things like that. And it really, like, crippled me. Mm-hmm. And having you in my life and seeing you move every single day and nobody knew what was going on actually got my ass out of bed and got me going. And you were doing that anyways, and you do that for so many people. I think as women, sometimes it's not about being a victim. It's about, this is our lives. We have things. I feel like men get treated differently than women. I think there's double standards.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I definitely feel like it uplifted me in a way I mean, look where we are right now, you know, in the last year and a half especially. You know, we can talk about, you were in New York last week doing high rocks, and
yes.
I went and did
very humbling.
Right? And I went and did Mud Girl.
Yes.
When Mud Girl
love
is a fundraiser for breast cancer.
Yes.
I was in
love that.
3 feet of mud doing obstacles
Crazy.
with 20 women.
I love it.
In support of breast cancer. And it was like my
Beautiful.
first physical activity, like athletic situation. And I did that in your honor, but also it just makes me realize that fitness and fashion go hand in hand.
Yes.
Can you speak to that, please, with fitness and fashion? Because I know it's a very important part, but people, it's a good part of mental health, but your routine in the morning, why is that so important to you?
So the role can be quite stressful. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. There's so many decisions, so many people are depending on you. Leadership, you know, running a brand, guiding the brand. You get pulled in a million different directions. And for me, fitness, so my routine when I get up includes fitness every morning. And so I get up at 4:15. I meditate just to get my mind clear, sound, affirmations, which I think are so crucial, and gratitude journal. Gratitude is like my base. If I go through a extremely stressful period in my life, or even I'm like, just feel like I'm having an anxiety attack, or I'm in a moment of pure stress, I go back to gratitude. So I do that routine at home, obviously with a coffee, because I have to start my morning with a coffee.
We love coffee over here.
And then, I head to the gym for the 5:30 class. And this gym is no joke. It's a High Rocks gym. So you show up, always the early classes. There's no joke with these, with the people that show up. They are hardcore. And I literally work out for an hour, and I think of nothing else but surviving that class.
Those workouts are intense. You do those intense workouts. I have to say, when I did Mug Girl, I think it was the first time, and we talked about this, that I had lost track of everything. Because you can't think of anything else when you're 3 feet in mud and you're pulling women over like obstacles. Like I'd never done anything like that before. But when it was so stress relieving, and fitness has now become a part of my routine. And that. Obviously you've inspired that, but it's really good for anxiety. And to, everything is so stressful, so it's difficult. So after the cancer diagnosis and you working in the fashion industry, did it change your view on beauty and how things are perceived?
It's interesting because when you're dealing with breast cancer, it's very physical. And because of what that means to women, you really have to get a grip of it and really dig deep. And what does it really mean? What really matters? And I feel, I've always, there's always things we want to change about our body. There's always like, oh, this or that, or, like it could be small things. It could be hair. It could be eyebrows. It could be, whatever. And I really, after going through the cancer diagnosis, you learn to really love your body as it is. Like you really, everything that is working, that is functional, that you can do. Like every morning that I can get up and go to the gym, that is such a blessing. And I'm so grateful for that, it's funny because going through this High Rocks training, I said to one of my gym partners the day before we were leaving, because she couldn't come with us. So I was just like, oh my God. I'm just like, oh my God, are we going to do this? Blah, blah, blah. And then she was like, you got this. And I said, you know what? Her name's Anna. I said, you know what, Anna? I am just so blessed that I'm in a position that I can show up and do it. Like my body can do this because it's no joke, like some people have chronic illnesses. Some people can't get out of bed. It is such a blessing. So going through breast cancer, yes, it sucks. But at the end of the day, I look in the mirror and I am so thankful for what I have and what I can do.
I totally agree with that. I feel like I think people don't realize, like, even after you have a miscarriage, you can have postpartum depression, and then the pressures of everything as well. So, I'm really grateful that I was able to pull myself out of that.
Yes.
And, it's something that I'm able to essentially get up and leave my house, or put sticky notes up and say go for a walk, and
love
because
that.
like it's really it's up to you,
Exactly.
And I have people who inspire me, and then there's people who I look up to, and everyone has a story, but no one understands that when you show up you have to show up for yourself every single day before you're an artist. That's
totally.
what it is. Mental health is wealth.
Absolutely.
And it's a very glamorized industry, but there's a lot of dark moments that people don't see. Pressures and responsibilities of other people as well, and you just carry it so well. And I know that I'm not the only person that you inspire, and as a successful woman being in this industry, we see things differently, and you make people see things differently. So obviously you're the publisher of fashion magazine. What is the difference between fashion and style for you?
Oh gosh, fashion and style. I feel like fashion is a combination of basically aspirational and basically what it is that you want, what it is that you're comfortable with. So the combination of kind of pushing your limits, still keeping very authentic, keeping your style, but really pushing yourself outside of your box so that maybe you add, a belt to something. Maybe you add shoulder pads to something. Maybe you create something that's oversized. Maybe you wear something that you're a little bit uncomfortable, but still within your style. I feel like style I feel like it's a word that's overused, because what is style? What is it? Like, it means so many different things to so many different people, where I feel
Right.
like fashion is more, it's more like you put in the effort when you show up. If you're fashionable, if you're representing fashion, there is a certain, it's responsibility behind that word. Where style is style. It's like, so I feel like style is used to,
Yeah, I think
like,
style
loosely.
represents a lot of different things depending on the person, right?
Yeah.
Because it depends on your body type and what it is, and it can be very focused in, and you have a fashionable part,
Right,
And
yeah.
where fashion is, to be stylish is something that you adapt with fashion,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So before we close off here, I know that I'm very blessed to have you in my life.
Oh, thanks. babe.
And there's a lot of people that, they really want to know what your advice is. Can you just give some advice to the younger generation of, what they should be doing? I mean, it's a digital era. I know we're in a print, you still have a printed issue. And maybe some tips on what that looks like to get them to moving forward, because they don't all have access to you.
Yeah, I think I think the biggest thing is nurturing relationships. Like, figure it out what it is that actually you're passionate about, and actually feel that vibration, something that makes you excited, and go after that, and start basically making a list of people that are either in the industry doing that, whether it be people in the corporation, whether it be people that are influencers, make a list and just start approaching people. Show up at whatever it is you can. Like, I remember when in my 20s, I would go to there were these breakfast meetings, business breakfast meetings, and they were all business people. And I would show up. I was by far the youngest one by 20 years. And I would just show up and I would work the room. I'd sit at a different table every breakfast, and I'd just introduce myself and try to learn what they do, what their roles were, and what that meant. And it was just a way of me networking. You have to network. Like, I feel like this generation, it was a big thing more for our generation, where I feel like the communication is changing a little bit for the new generation coming in, but I feel like it's really important to still network. So that's number one. And go for your dreams. Go for it. Don't let anybody stop you. Just, make sure that you're, set yourself up for success, to ensure that you're capable of functioning, whether that be, find what your balance is, find out what that is. How can you show up? How can you make sure that you're consistent? How can you show up that when you're given the opportunity, that you don't blow the opportunity?
That part.
Yeah.
That part. I really feel
Yeah.
like, especially with everything going on a year and a half ago, I don't think this opportunity that's coming to me now, I would have been able to handle it.
Yeah.
And I think, energy doesn't lie.
Absolutely.
Energy does not lie.
Energy is everything.
Energy is everything. It's everything. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you could please tell everyone where to find you, your full name, and how fabulous those glasses are.
Yeah. Right back at you, babe.
Oh, I know.
Deidre Marinelli on Instagram at Deidre Marinelli.
My name is Lindsay Anne Delaney. It's time to put down the camera and pick up the mic. This is Behind the Cut.